Honolulu, it's going to be one heck of a match, and we are getting started right now.
Game 1 of the grand finals. Here we go. Swampert leads in against a Sableye here. So this is a relatively even matchup, and Swampert is able to outpace the Sableye. And we're looking at the Hydro Cannon rushing through here, and it's launching at the similar times. But Swampert is able to launch the first Hydro Cannon, which goes unshielded by Galaxkobolten.
Yeah, one Hydro Cannon will not be enough to knock out that Sableye. Meanwhile, the Sableye also out of foul play. Not quite enough to knock out the Swampert either. Like you said, it's a pretty even matchup, though Swampert is able to outpace. Looks like neither one of these opponents wanting to spend their shield right away in this first portion of the match.
I think this is a logical step. Both Pokemon can take a move out, but they're over-farming a little bit on the Swampert, and now throwing out a perfect time there by Elepfandflasche. We've seen this. He knows his timings, and the first shield is used by Galaxkobolten, who wishes to keep Sableye in this fight.
He may wish to keep Sableye in this fight, but as we see this Mandibuzz aggressively swap in, where it's going to be met with one of its worst nemesis here, that's Shadow Claw, or the Powder Snow Alolan Sandslash, being able to take this Dark Pulse now, but you can already see, as Mandibuzz is a tanky bird, it's still, like, those Powder Snows are already adding up.
Oh, yes, they are, and now we are close to an Ice Punch, and it's launched straight away. No hesitation there by Galaxkobolten. Mandibuzz is very bulky and can handle this, but this is a shadow-boosted Ice Punch, and this is going to do a fair amount of damage, and now it's a race to see who can get to the next charge attack here, and I think Mandibuzz is able to launch that Dark Pulse, which is going to force Galaxkobolten to use that second shield. So now, very early on, the Galaxkobolten is out of shields.
Out of shields, but a lot of energy on that Sableye and a lot of energy on that Sandslash, as well as continuing to just Powder Snow away right before able to get to the next one, throwing this Ice Punch, and Elepfandflasche. It looks like he's going to go ahead and let that Mandibuzz go down. Still 2 shields now, 2-0.
Yes, so we've seen this before. We have the Swampert, which potentially could be used as a third shield, but the Venusaur coming in here, that's really the only option. So now a shield must come out in order to protect the Venusaur, which is also a shadow as well and will not appreciate super effective damage.
And now doesn't want to take those Ice Punches at all. In comes that Gligar to get a little bit of a better matchup, but Elepfandflasche is ahead on energy, throwing this Frenzy Plant even before the Aerial Ace comes through. There are no protections left on Galaxkobolten's side. Even though this might not be enough to knock it out, it's going to get it very low.
And this is going to do huge amounts of damage, and Gligar really needs to throw this off, and does indeed get the Aerial Ace off, consuming that final shield from Elepfandflasche, and now both sides are without shields. Now we're going to see some really heavy damage been launched out from either of these Pokemon, and it is a race, and it's a catch here. That is absolutely brilliant. Swampert being used as that third shield. I thought this was going to happen, and indeed it did with perfect timing.
Wonderful execution by Elepfandflasche there, being able to use that as a sacrificial swap and continuing, even though these wing attacks are doing heavy damage, now all this Vine Whip, the Venusaur has so much energy to be deployed at whatever Pokemon that comes in.
Yeah, so what is going to happen? What is going to come out first? What wants to take a Frenzy Plant? The first one is being launched. This is going to annihilate the Alolan Sunslash.
We have to remember there is a foul play stored on this Sableye. Will it be able to win charge attack priority? That is the question. Not even necessary. The Frenzy Plant is not even there. Galaxkobolten takes game number 1 against Elepfandflasche.
What a meaningful win here to gain some momentum early on, coming from the losers bracket, but going, doesn't matter, I am still a force to be reckoned with. 1-0, and you can see the Swedes, the Nordic fans going absolutely crazy over this. You can, well, you only have to see for yourself, right?
Oh man, this has been an incredible matchup so far. What do you do if you're in Elepfandflasche's position right now? You know that it's a best of 5. Knowing losing round 1 doesn't mean that you've lost the game, right? I mean, essentially, this is a whole nother matchup. He has plenty of time to do experimental things at this point, and even if he ends up losing this best of 5, there's still another one that he is able to play afterwards. What we're hoping for, right, Adelian?
Oh yes, oh yes. But yes, with Elepfandflasche, I think there is no cause for concern. I think he's demonstrated that he's been able to adapt and react to taking the odd loss here and there. He does have that luxury, as you say, of being in the winners bracket, and this is a best of 5. He could, in theory, win the next 3 matches, and then this is all over. It could be a lot more closer fought than that. However, he has the skills, he has the knowledge, and he does have the team, and he has the, don't forget that advantage that Galaxkobolten did say that Carbink is a little bit tricky for me. I'm not sure how my team can handle it. That hasn't been seen in game 1 yet. Will it come in out in game 2 to
And
be a
now
surprise?
a part of me is thinking maybe he's just playing a little bit of a mind game with Elepfandflasche. They're saying he doesn't know how to handle this Carbink. What is so weak to it? It's going to be that Sableye, and yet he still brings it into the game. An aggressive play by Galaxkobolten, but it really paid off for him in this this first matchup.
Yes, absolutely. I'm surprised that Sableye did make an appearance there, because I would have thought that Carbink would have indeed pushed that out of the way. However, you got to sometimes take a little bit of a risk with your team composition. Unfortunately, at this level, there's always going to be a bit of a flaw. You've seen some great trainers. You've seen Inadequance versus Galaxkobolten, where the first time it favored Inadequance with that Shadow Magnetone, and then now Galaxkobolten's able to completely turn that around, just going to show how much talent there is on stage at the moment. And if anyone knows how to make a comeback, it is Galaxkobolten right here.
Both of these trainers have top cut in previous tournaments, but this is the farthest that either trainer has gone so far. It's really come down to these moments in the grand finals, this best of 5 matchup. Galaxkobolten's ahead by 1, but like we said, that at this stage it's really too early to tell. The tables could completely turn by this game number 2.
Yes, for sure. So now what trainers are doing here is they're taking time, calming their nerves, relaxing and going, right, what do I want to change? If anything, are my tactics sound? Do I make a mild adjustment? This is the calm before the storm, I would say. This is where you really bring yourself together mentally, and then you begin this next battle going into game number 2. Is it going to be another win? And here comes that Carbink.
Carbink against a Alolan Sandslash. We have to see if Galaxkobolten is being serious and not quite sure how these matchups go. Looks like he is going to stay in that, as those drill runs are going to be super effective. Meanwhile, the Rock Slide and the Moonblast, well, I mean, they'll be doing heavy damage. It is a Shadow, but not as much damage as I think Elepfandflasche was hoping for.
No, but you have to bear in mind that this Shadow Alolan Sandslash, is it running? I believe it's running Powder Snow, and that's going to do resisted damage. Oh no, sorry, no, it doesn't. But the Rock Slide is definitely going to do neutral damage to the Shadow Alolan Sandslash here, and with it being so squishy, I think so the shield does have to come out here, and so this is the right call, racing to another drill run potentially. And when is that drill run going to be launched? Timing it really, really well, trying to get a catch on the Medicham. This isn't successful. Serperior comes back in to counteract that Medicham.
Wow, I think this is really where Galaxkobolten actually wants that Serperior as well, because if you notice that it was on Leaf Tornado and Frenzy Plant, no Sky Attack in sight or no Aerial Ace in sight for that Venusaur, so putting it in this position is better. Now it's a potential baiting game. Do I go straight for the Frenzy Plant or the Leaf Tornado? Let's see if Elepfandflasche can call this.
And it's a 50-50 call here. Elepfandflasche has to think. He needs to think fast, chooses to let it go, and the Frenzy Plant does do damage, but Serperior, a relatively bulky Pokemon, doesn't hit as hard as some grass types with Frenzy Plant, but still just able to get another move off here. So now another debate for Elepfandflasche. Do we consume a Shield? It is just a Leaf Tornado, but it's just about enough to KO.
Oh my goodness, this is going to be also very good for Elepfandflasche, because I think that the Venusaur can come in and get a lot of energy, should choose to, because all of the attacks are just grass ones. Not going to be able to do too much back to this Venusaur. Meanwhile, Venusaur just getting a ton of energy, going for the heavier hitting Frenzy Plant. Let's see if Elepfandflasche chooses to use his shield. I think at this point you probably don't.
No, I think with the double resistance here that Venusaur enjoys, even though it's a Shadow, did a respect, and then something else, another throw in and a snipe, and the Powder and the Weather Ball goes onto the Venusaur. This was what Galaxkobolten was trying to do, soften up the Venusaur so it can be taken out. The shield has to be used now, and another one!
Not only one shield, both shields from Elepfandflasche has now been deployed, as there is not a lot of energy left on that Alolan Sandslash, but my goodness, there is so much energy on the Venusaur, swapping back into the Carbink, able to take it out before that third Ice Punch goes off.
That was so close, very well calculated by there to get the Carbink in, and now Gligar can try and put some work on this Carbink, doing resisted damage here, but the Moonblast goes unshielded. This is going to have a chance of a debuff, and that might be crucial as well. Is there a debuff? A lot of damage, no debuff though. Gligar lives to fight another day.
I think that at this point Galaxkobolten is more like Relaxkobolten, because he knows that he's going to be able to do something with the shield. He'll be able to throw it first. No!
Oh my goodness, a shield has to come out. Venusaur is able to throw the charge attack first. That Frenzy Plant would definitely KO at this range, so now the shield comes in, and now Aerial Ace is launched to try and take out this Shadow Venusaur. At this range, surely Shadow Venusaur will not be able to withstand this super effective attack.
And down goes the Venusaur. Galaxkobolten has taken game number 2 as well. This was the position that he was in with Inadequance the round before. I think he's feeling very confident.
This is incredible work from Galaxkobolten. The constantly coming from a position from behind in the losers brackets. He's done it once already, and he's now on the cusp of forcing a bracket reset. And we know how excited I get over those.
We're ready for it. We are here for it indeed. But if you're Elepfandflasche, I definitely wouldn't count him down and out. He has been undefeated in this tournament so far. He's been in the position where he's lost that first game and able to come back from it. So I think that he has got what it takes to completely flip this, should he choose to. But we'll really have to see. These players are locked and loaded. They're ready and determined to be able to get to be the new champion of Lille.
This, I cannot, in their shoes, I would be so nervous. I'd be quivering. But I was speaking to these two trainers just before and just after our interview, and the calmness that they had, it was almost infectious. It relaxed me speaking to them, and I feel therefore that this is the mentality that you want to have when you are used to this level of stress and performance at this despite the pressure. This is what separates the truly great trainers at this point.
And we have to also remember, best of fives are a completely different animal than best of threes. A lot of times best of threes, people feel that they have to play it kind of safe. There's maybe a certain risk that will be taken in game number 3, but best of fives, that's when a lot of times people kind of, what we say, throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks, right? Like, okay, I know that my opponent has been really doing X for this whole tournament, so I need to do Y to counter it. Maybe it's going to be completely unexpected. I think if you're in Elepfandflasche's position, you have a lot of leeway with this. I mean, you can really experiment and try new things, because as we said, even if he ends up losing this, even if there is a bracket reset, he still has a whole nother best of 5 to play around with, to find that composition that it takes to take out Galaxkobolten and secure that spot as the complete winner for this tournament.
Yes, so now what all these trainers are thinking, I think Elepfandflasche doesn't want to have this bracket reset for sure, so he's going to bring out something magical. Let's see, it leads with the Frostlass into an Alolan Sandslash, but as we know, this is a Powder Snow Alolan Sandslash, but we have seen this before where Galaxkobolten leads with that Shadow Alolan Sandslash and keeps something weak to Frostlass in the back. So what's going to happen here? A first drill run. Is Elepfandflasche going to shield this first and foremost?
Looks like he is going to go ahead and let that go down, knowing that it's not quite enough to knock him out, but we've seen this position from Galaxkobolten many times before, so I'm anxious to see how they want to play this. We know that he's willing to at least use one shield in this scenario, most likely two if he wants that Frostlass out of the way.
Yes, and I think it makes sense to try and get that Frostlass out of the way with the Gligar being there in the back. But now another Ice Punch to try and get a shield back on the Frostlass. Does Elepfandflasche, is he okay to lose the Frostlass early on or not? It seems he is, and there goes the Frostlass, and now the opportunity to bring that Swampert in and try and get some farm in with those super effective mud shots.
Effective mud shots going through, almost at that Hydro Cannon, but the Ice Punch is going to go up first. I think if Elepfandflasche is counting, he knows that it's not going to be enough to take it out. Going ahead and tanking that, and meanwhile keeping that Venusaur a little bit of a secret in the back. Going up to 2 Hydro Cannons, releasing the first one. Is Galaxkobolten going to let it go? He is!
Yes, so he feels the Shadow Alolan Sandslash has done its job, eliminated the Frostlass, and did a respectable amount of chip damage to the Swampert. An instant swap into the Venusaur into Gligar. The Venusaur taking super effective damage from those aerial aces, but it is a charge attack priority event which Venusaur wins, and that Frenzy Plant, as we've seen before, is going to do a huge amount of damage, but not today. Galaxkobolten uses that shield.
He's in that shield because he is indeed at that aerial ace, going ahead and letting that go through. Meanwhile, Elepfandflasche says, oh yeah, there's that shield button. I have 2 of them. I'm going to go ahead and use that first one here, as this will be doing super effective damage. And meanwhile, both of them, it's a race for the next charge attack.
Yes, and I think it's a race that Gligar is going to outpace to, and indeed that is indeed what happens. The aerial ace comes through, and Venusaur uses that second shield to try and overcome this Gligar. At this range, I wonder if Frenzy Plant can now be a threat that will KO this Gligar. So let's see what happens as that Frenzy Plant is launched. Is this going to be a KO? Because this could be really significant.
Frenzy Plant does connect with the Gligar. Down it goes, and in comes that Sableye, which had an immediate appearance and an immediate disappearance. But the Frenzy Plant is already there. And do you know what to tell you? I believe there's also a Hydro Cannon sword. Let's see how this plays out. Frenzy Plant going through onto the Sableye here.
And are we going to see that combo play? There's the instant swap, and there comes that Hydro Cannon. This is a perfect example of a combo play as Venusaur and Swampert work together to take out the Sableye, and Elepfandflasche pulls one back to keep this best of 5 going.
All right, this is what we like to see. A comeback of a century here. Coming down from one more victory for Galaxkobolten would have flipped the bracket, and Elepfandflasche says, not yet. I'm playing this game as well as you. I want to be in it to win it.
Yes, absolutely. So now Galaxkobolten's thinking, maybe that tactic didn't work. Do I adapt? Do I change? Or do I second guess my opponent? Maybe my opponent's not going to plan for this tactic twice in a row and therefore try that again. So do we reckon the Shadow Alolan Sandslash is still led? Because it did a lot of work early on, didn't it?
I think if we've been watching a lot of Galaxkobolten's matches, he does like to lead that Alolan Sandslash often. Even though there is that risk of Medicham, I think he has a good plan in mind, and that is something that you can also do as a player yourself. When you're picking your team of 3 out of a show 6 pick 3 format, think if I lead this and my opponent leads that, what do I do in that scenario? So I think obviously Galaxkobolten has a good plan in mind that if there's a Medicham in the lead, he knows how he wants to play out those remaining parts of the matchup.
You make a very good point. It just made me think that whenever I'm in a tournament, the first thing I do is with my lead Pokemon, what's the worst thing that I want to see from my opponent, and what's my plan? If so, that is a very simple thing to consider in those tournaments. What's the worst thing I'll see? How can I mitigate or react to that quickly? So this is how you saw many trainers in the past in very negative matchups that instant swap into something safe and then try and potentially win switch advantage or win some kind of shield advantage in order to play out the end game in that same lead matchup, maybe where you have a bit more of an advantage. So here we are thinking about what to do in game number 4 of this grand finals. One more win would secure a bracket reset for Galaxkobolten, and one more win for Elepfandflasche would tie this to 2 apiece, making game 5 incredibly decisive. So for those of you just tuning in now, the pressure, the hype, the excitement is really ramping up as we go into game 4.
This is going to be a wonderful opportunity to see what they're doing, and it's like we willed it into existence until, you know, we see that Medicham against the Alolan Sandslash, and we'll see exactly what that backup plan is going to be for Galaxkobolten as he goes into that superior. Ooh, only to be met by the Mandibuzz.
So this is going for one hard counter to another, and it seems that Aerial Ace is launched first by the Mandibuzz here, which is going to do super effective damage to Superior, but Superior is very bulky indeed and is able to withstand at least one of them, potentially 2. Now launching back with a Frenzy Plant, even though this is resisted. Frenzy Plant is a very strong move and will do a respectable amount of damage, but the bulk of Mandibuzz is surely demonstrated here.
Yes, because it is a flying type, these grass type charge attacks are not going to be doing as much damage as, say, it would be to a water type. Meanwhile, chip damage, as we say, chip damage is chip damage. Sometimes, oh yep, they're doing a little bit less as not all the bubbles were swiped in that specific scenario. Meanwhile, Mandibuzz just getting up a ton of energy, but not before even the next Frenzy Plant goes off.
And this is actually, despite this being chip damage, it is actually lowered the Mandibuzz to quite a low amount of health. But look at the amount of energy on Elepfandflashe's Mandibuzz. It's reached the maximum of 100. Now you surely have to throw an Aerial Ace.
Yeah, throwing an Aerial Ace, and it looks like a slight undercharge too, because he wants to make sure he's still at 100 energy. He knows that the Alolan Sandslash is at the beginning and doesn't want to give it a lot of farm with those Powder Snows, being able to reach 2 Dark Pulses at this point. The first one being deployed now, which will bring that Alolan Sandslash around about half health.
Yes, and I think this is an example of talented play by Elepfandflasche. Undercharging is such a hard skill to measure and do correctly, but he's pulled it off perfectly and is now able, as a result, to get 2 Dark Pulses off on this Shadow Alolan Sandslash. Galaxkobolten is happy to let this go because the Medicham is going to be a problem, and a counter switch straight away. Galaxkobolten realizing that Medicham was going to come back in and now switching to the Gligar. This is a relatively even matchup because of the Ice Punches from Medicham, but Gligar does have a type advantage, flying being super effective on fighting types.
That's right, and the wing attacks and those Aerial Aces will be adding up more than those counters will against the Gligar. Meanwhile, it's really just those charge attacks, those Ice Punches that are going to be doing the heavy damage back. The first Aerial Ace going through. Elepfandflasche does have 2 shields, choosing not to use it on that first one.
Wow, so he's happy to let Medicham go as long as it can eliminate both those shields off the Gligar. And surely Galaxkobolten needs to shield this because this is going to do huge. Oh, he chooses not to, and that does a huge amount of damage onto the Gligar here. And now it's a race to try and get to as much energy, and instead just farms down the Medicham completely. But here comes the Carbink.
The Carbink, you can see Galaxkobolten also nodding as he realizes what is coming in. Properly shielding up now this super effective dig. But I mean, at this range, Carbink is so healthy. see this rock throw after another. Even this dig won't be enough to take it out at this point.
No, definitely not. And Elepfandflasche sensibly using both shields to show to not reveal how much damage that dig would do to the carbine, because that could still be useful information to Galaxkobolten in the future. And so there we have it, Gligar just on 1 HP and is now taken out by the rock throw.
We are going into a decisive game number 5 in these grand final matchups. A potential what we call reverse sweep when Elepfandflasche was down 0-2, managing to get the score tied up to 2-2. Who will be the winner of this last round? Will it be Elepfandflasche creating the complete winner of the circuit, not dropping a single match, or will it be Galaxkobolten going through the losers bracket, doing the reverse sweep, and doing the grand finals once again?
This is a story for both trainers. Both of these trainers can write something in the history books. It would be amazing for either trainer to take that one extra win. It all comes down to this. Now they're thinking in their head, this is my time, this is my chance to seize glory. Neither of these two trainers have been a regional champion before. Don't forget though, that t-shirt and that pose you get in game for being a region, sorry, the t-shirt that you get in game, not the pose, for being a regional champion. This is on the line, not to mention the medal, not to mention trophy, not to mention the accolades, but also the honor of being able to go to Honolulu in Hawaii in August 2024. All of this is on the line, but history has to be made by one of these trainers, and this match might determine it all.
It's going to be very, very decisive overall. We have to remember that because Galaxkobolten did come from the losers bracket, if he wins this, we will have yet another grand finals to see who will become the winner. If Elepfandflasche wins this, he becomes the grand champion just on its own right.
Yes, absolutely, and a decisive way to do it. You can see both these trainers now, they're really thinking. You can see hands on foreheads. Focus is immense. I can feel their nerves channeling from the battle arena over to the caster's booth. I'm sure the fans are watching are like, oh my goodness, how are they going to pull this off? What is going to happen? The excitement is building. And
I think I really like how Elepfandflasche has been doing this as well. Remaining calm and collected. Sometimes if you're down, especially in a best of 3, if you've lost that first round, especially for trainers like myself, you get a little bit nervous saying, oh no, I cannot lose this next one. Neither one of these players can lose this next one as they get into this decisive matchup. Whoever wins this will be determining who will be the Lille regional champion.
And we have Lantern into Swampert, and Swampert's going to really enjoy seeing this, being able to resist the fast attacks from the Lantern, but that Swampert is not carrying Earthquake, and that is key to win a matchup against Lantern. So maybe Galaxkobolten knows this Lantern is a lot more safe right now.
Elepfandflasche has not really revealed it in matchup, but yes, if he has been watching before, it's been on screen many, many times, still going for that Hydro Cannon, building up to Earthquake energy, but getting no shield from Galaxkobolten, which could be proven that he does know indeed that it's not carrying Earthquake.
Yes, I think you are absolutely right, Amanda. Now going for a charge attack priority event, but this time it is the Sludge Wave, but Galaxkobolten recognizes that that's what Elepfandflasche is trying to do, a crucial shield as the Sludge Wave does no damage.
Yeah, well, it does 1 HP damage because it was a shield, and now there was a Surf going through, getting a shield from Swampert as well, using this, and now it's going to be another race to energy, right? I mean, the Surf will at this point should be enough to knock it out. Is either one going to want to use their last shield? A Hydro Cannon goes through from Elepfandflasche's side, and Galaxkobolten choosing to let that go on his Lantern.
I think this is sensible here. Lantern can withstand the Hydro Cannon, but has to be careful of any swaps afterwards and farming up a little bit more, and now that Surf is coming through. This Surf will certainly KO the Swampert, so now Elepfandflasche has a choice. Does he use that second shield? No, choosing not to. He's going to try and farm down with the Frost Slash. Really excellent play here, using the resisted Powder Stones, but not before Lantern can get a Surf off, and that might be problematic in the long run for Elepfandflasche.
Well, it might be problematic indeed, because we already know what's coming into it. It's definitely not going to be that Gligar. It's going to be that Powder Snow, Alolan Sandslash, but that Drill Run now at this range will be enough to knock it out. But, I mean, there's so much energy on this Frost Slash, deploying this Shadow Ball and getting that shield from Galaxkobolten.
Yes, absolutely. I wonder if there's even play to maybe get the Frost Slash low enough that an Ice Punch might start being a threatening move. But let's see what happens here, and what does Galaxkobolten go for? He does indeed go for the Ice Punch, and just teases out that final shield from Elepfandflasche. I think this is sensible, because Frost Slash really needs to stay in this matchup.
Indeed, already at the Shadow Ball, we're going to see how much damage this is going to do. Eldelian Whip, remember, it is a Shadow. Will this be enough to knock it out?
This is going to be a devastating amount of damage, but just not enough, and Sandslash lives to fight another day, and now it's farming up even more, and now this weather ball is going to take out the Frostlass, and now we are left with that final Pokemon from Elepfandflasche's side.
And this is very dangerous indeed, because even though there's not a lot of health left on this Alolan Sandslash, it's able to reach this Ice Punch, connecting with the Mandibuzz. This is going to do a lot of damage.
And this is so significant for Galaxkobolten. That chip damage on Mandibuzz might be the difference to allow Gligar to overcome a very bulky Pokemon as Elepfandflasche launches that Dark Pulse to try and chip away at this Gligar. Is this going to be enough to weaken Gligar so that we can get another Dark Pulse in? Let's see what happens. This is so close.
This is going to be close. Aerial Ace after Aerial Ace is going to be coming in here. We have to remember that Snarl doesn't do a lot of damage, but it generates energy very quickly. The question is, will he be able to get to enough charge attacks to be able to take it out? It's going to be a race at this point, already up past another one. You see another Aerial Ace coming through. Mandibuzz is so incredibly low at this point.
Is it even going to survive? Mandibuzz is one of the bulkiest Pokemon in the Great League Meta. Just about survives. Is able to throw and is getting to 2 Aerial Aces potentially. The first one is being launched. This is definitely not going to KO. The big question is, will the second one be able to be launched?
Or did that wing attack take it out? No, he's able to do it!
And oh goodness, maybe Gligar will not be able to survive this. This is going to be so close. Galaxkobolten is praying for Gligar's bulk to withstand this Aerial Ace, and it does!
Prayer answered, as Galaxkobolten has managed to take this Grand Finals, able to flip the bracket, and now we're going into a bracket reset here, and we're going to see a new best of 5 to determine who will actually be the champion of the Lille Regionals.
I just love the fire in his eyes as he's looking over at the crowd. Look at that, he's like, oh, I can't believe I've done this, but he's managed it in the closest margins. 2-3. Very good play from Elepfandflasche. How close was that?
Oh my goodness, I loved every second of it. I feel a little bit guilty. I feel like we willed that into existence, Adelian, saying that we would love to see a bracket reset. But hey, we asked for it, we got it. We are so incredibly happy. Meanwhile, Elepfandflasche, still cool as a cucumber, managed to really come back from that as well. When you were down 0-2, being able to get back up to that 2-2 position is a vital thing to do as a competitive PvP player.
Yes, I am really in full of admiration for Elepfandflasche. That strength of character. I think this is his first shot. You can see that, okay, maybe the nerves are getting to him very slightly and he's like puffing his chest out, but this is a fresh start. It's not over. There are 5 more battles to go potentially. It could be as close as this. It could be as decisive as the 3-0s that we've seen in grand finals before. Anything is possible, anything is on the line, but now the real focus is on. If you thought it was scary, if you thought it was hype back then, now it's another level.
And we're gonna have to dial up the hype even another notch indeed, because look at these 2 trainers. I mean, one of them is gonna be crowned champion, Adelian.
Yes, and if I was there, I would be quivering in that chair. I would be like Ditto. I'd just be like, no, I just want to sink under the table because I could not handle the pressure and nerves, especially battling against either of these 2 talented trainers. But both of them, they're, to use your phrase, cool as a cucumber, just focused. There is nothing else in the world right now. It's just him, it's just the player, their opponent, and the 6 Pokemon that they both have. Nothing else matters.
I think that is also a different skill set that you have to learn as well, becoming a competitive battler. We've talked with them over time. A lot of people saying, oh, I was very nervous to play on stream the first time I played on stream. It's a different hurdle that you have to get over as well. Knowing that everyone is watching you, knowing that everyone can see the screen, see the potential plays that you're trying to make. I mean, it's a skill set that I think once you have mastered that, then you can keep that calm and cool collectedness that they're showing us on screen right now.
Yes, for sure. I think it's very similar to, like, you know, these professional athletes and how they're so focused on their craft, and it's no difference with this esport. It is so it's all about focusing your attention on what is in front of you, making sure your mathematics, making sure your attack counts, making sure all of these little things are perfect. We've seen so many videos from a lot of the commentators about move timing and other tactics like that. All of this come into play at the same time, and therein is the challenge, putting it all together and applying it all.
And if you're just tuning in now, this is indeed the bracket reset. This is the grand finals. Elepfandflasche, who is on the winner's side of the bracket, has not lost a round until this last round against Galaxkobolten. They're going ahead and getting immediately into this round 1 of this best of 5.
Alrighty, round 1 in this bracket reset. We have Medicham going in against Superior.
And we have seen this before, whether he wants to go for that Leaf Tornado bait or the Frenzy Plant, which is the heavier hitting charge attack. We'll have to see for sure. These Ice Punches are super effective, but not doing enough to knock it out at this point. Going for that charge attack priority, and you can see that I believe the Leaf Tornado was being clipped.
That was indeed correct, and I think a sensible play here, because if he is able to get that debuff, which he is able to get that debuff, the Ice Punches are no longer going to be as threatening on the Superior. Galaxkobolten suddenly likes this matchup a lot better than he did at the start.
He said earlier in our interview that he's been having a lot better luck in the competition today than he does in GBL with the Leaf Tornado, but I have to say this is where it really counts. Elepfandflasche trying to catch on that Mandibuzz, which would have been in a great position, only down to be met again with that Powder Snow Alolan Sand Slash.
And this is very problematic for Mandibuzz. The Powder Snows are going to do some respectable, super effective chip damage, not to mention the Weather Balls, which are now going to be coming thick and fast. Alolan Sand Slash able to get Weather Balls off very quickly, but Mandibuzz is going to retaliate with that Dark Pulse.
Yes.
Dark Pulse is going to do a very respectable amount of damage onto the Shadow Alolan Sand Slash.
Yeah, already almost at another one. Meanwhile, almost at this Ice Punch as well. Going for that Dark Pulse first, as it's going to reach it just a little bit before. Is Galaxkobolten going to try to keep a little bit of health and energy left on the Sand Slash or let it go down? Looks like he does a very last second shield, as he knows that his Ice Punch will be enough. Now it's just gathering a little bit more energy before throwing the Ice Punch right before that Aerial Ace is available.
I think that's perfect timing, and again, we see at this top level, these trainers do not miss a beat. They do not miss it by 0.5 seconds. That Mandibuzz goes down, and now the Medicham comes in. Alolan Sand Slash just looking to get some damage out on this Mandibuzz before it gets taken out by the counters. So now a debate is whether you shield or not. No shield, and Medicham is now in the red, but has some energy. So where is this energy going to go? Do you bring the Superior? And it's a charge attack priority event, and it's the Leaf Tornado as well. And now Elepfandflasche is thinking, I don't think I want to shield this, but he does!
Does, because he is at that Ice Punch already, knows that he will be able to at least get that off. A little bit of chip damage like you were saying before. This Ice Punch is going through. Will it connect? Will Galaxkobolten let it go through? It looks like he's going to let it go, letting that Superior go completely down, and we're going to go ahead and see that Medicham in the back against that Carbink. But we have to remember, we both know it's a dynamic punch, Medicham.
And I think that's going to be so useful now with the dynamic punch being there, just being able to do solid neutral damage onto the Carbink, and having that shield as well is going to protect Medicham from the threat of the Moonblast, which is the only real move that Carbink can use to threaten Medicham. Going for it straight away, which I think is a very sensible play here, just to see if you can get that 30% attack debuff chance. But here it comes. Is there going to be a debuff? And it doesn't seem like there is, and so Medicham is able to churn through those counters, chipping away at the rock-hard defenses of Carbink here, and another dynamic punch is launched now.
Another dynamic punch going through. Elepfandflasche deciding, is it going to be an Ice Punch? Is it going to be a dynamic punch? Wonderful call here, but one counter away from another dynamic punch. Will it be enough? Will he be able to get to it before this Moonblast goes through?
And absolutely not. Dynamic punch is able to outpace, and at this range, I think even the bulkiest of Carbinks cannot survive another dynamic punch. Down it goes, and now you're in a Medicham mirror as it's a race to the Ice Punch, but Medicham does get countered down by Galaxkobolten, and he is on another win with a momentum very much in his favor over the last 2 games.
Yes, Galaxkobolten, as we saw earlier today, came in from the winner side of the bracket as well, beating Sandudu, and then able to knock down to the losers bracket by Inadequence, where he continued his fantastic run. That's why we've seen him here so far. He has made his way back up to the top. He has beat San Hudigo, and then he got to beat Le Suedeux, and then once again battling it up against Inadequence, this time taking the match 3-1 to be in the position where he's at against Elepfandflasche.
But this Elepfandflasche has demonstrated his dominance so often, coming from the winners side of the bracket. Now in the bracket reset, he's only taken this one loss right at this very level, and it's still all to play for here. We saw earlier in the first grand final, he went 2 down and was able to recover to bring it to 2 apiece. This could still happen. It is still any trainer's game. So if you are watching, do not count either of these players out. They're thinking hard, and we can't wait to see what magic is concocted in this next battle.
A lot of the battle, I think, is being played in these trainers' minds as well, especially like we talked about, best of 5s being completely different than the best of 3s that people have seen before, different team compositions being brought in, and also sometimes if you've lost a couple matches and the momentum has swung out of your favor, you can feel it in the body, right? So it's like, I think Elepfandflasche is taking this moment as well to be like, okay, let's gain back a little bit of this momentum. Let's keep ourselves as calm as we were before. As he said before, it's so much easier on the winner's side. I just need to get back to the winner's side, I think is what he should be thinking.
Yes, absolutely. So we've seen carbing sometimes be quite useful here, but it has been caught out of alignment against Medicham's or in shielded scenarios where it cannot utilize the Moonblast effectively to deal with some of its counters. So the question is going to be whether you bring that carbing somewhere else, whether it's better as a safe swap in some cases. It really does depend on that alignment and second guessing your opponent. So let's see what second guessing occurs as we go into game 2 of this bracket resetted grand finals as Mandibuzz takes to the skies against Sableye. So this is advantage Elepfandflasche.
Yeah, you can see it on Galaxkobolten's face. Not super happy about the way that turned out. Coming into a Gligar, which is a pretty neutral matchup, probably also an indication to Elepfandflasche that there's something maybe strong against the Mandibuzz in the back. He doesn't want to bring that in right away because Elepfandflasche can immediately swap out.
Yes, so there we go now. The aerial ace being launched on the Gligar. Now a swap, which makes a lot of sense here because now Gligar might be closer to Hydro Cannon KO range, but not before Gligar is able to get a dig off. Will this go shielded? I think not.
Yeah, super effective dig, but not able to take it out at this point. Meanwhile, Swampert just getting up a lot of energy, a little bit more. Now at the aerial ace will put the Swampert very, very low should Elepfandflasche choose not to shield this. Yes, the shield is going to be deployed because there's a lot of energy on this Swampert. I think we're about to see back-to-back Hydro Cannons potentially go off against this Gligar.
Yes, and I think farming up a little bit extra here to ensure that they has plenty of energy on the Swampert if it is able to take out the Gligar in one remaining hit. And down goes the Gligar here. And now it's a question of what comes in. Neither Pokemon is particularly keen to see the Swampert, and you have 2 Hydro Cannons banked on the Swampert here. The first one is certainly going to drop Sableye to below 50%.
And Elepfandflasche is in a very commanding position at this point because if he lets that Swampert go down, he can still keep that Mandibuzz aligned with the Sableye. Meanwhile, the Medicham is perfectly aligned in the back for that Alolan Sandslash. This second Hydro Cannon going through looks like a Galaxkobolten just going ahead and letting that Sableye go.
Yes, and now the Shadow Alolan Sandslash, and now the Medicham comes in, and Galaxkobolten nods. He recognizes there is no way out. He has all the shields that he needs, but he does not have anything to deal with the fast move pressure from Medicham. A case of alignment determining players. Elepfandflasche makes the right call, the right lead, and the right closer to end this game with Medicham against his opponent's Alolan Sandslash.
I think it's a case and scenario, Adelian. Sometimes, where you say just because you lose the lead doesn't mean that you lose the game. But I think through that whole thing, there was a rock, paper, scissors scenario. Elepfandflasche had him at every single turn. He said, okay, even if you bring in this, I have this for it. And I think that really played to his advantage, being able to get into his opponent's mind a little bit. Maybe Elepfandflasche says, okay, I'm reading this guy. I know how he plays nowadays. I'm going to put this win on the board.
Yes, and I think very well executed there. Good read on the Sableye. We thought, I think Elepfandflasche noticed that Galaxkobolten isn't too fearful to bring Sableye lead because it's very rare that Elepfandflasche himself leads with carbing.
Right.
So it immediately promotes a more sort of rock, paper, scissors style alignment-based play. So by that logic, he's thinking, okay, Galaxkobolten feels confident, let me put in the Mandibuzz, and then suddenly that causes a few more problems, but Mandibuzz has a little bit more flexibility than carbing.
I think you're absolutely right in that scenario, and I wonder if Elepfandflasche is realizing that as well. Maybe the carbing, though it looks really good on paper, is maybe not the best thing. Every time he has brought it, it seems like Galaxkobolten has kind of had the upper hand in those scenarios. However, it could also just be the trick that he needs to end up pulling out a win, thinking, okay, my opponent thinks I've benched the carbing, maybe he's going to bring some stuff that's weak to it. That would be a really great position for Elepfandflasche to be in.
Yes, although we've noticed we've not seen the Sableye trapped against the carbing at any point so far. So Galaxkobolten has been very good to pilot his Sableye in a good way to avoid that matchup, which would be catastrophic. But unfortunately, we have also seen that Shadow Alolan Sandslash be caught in the back against the Medicham, and there's really no wiggle room here. So you have to be very careful when you've got Pokemon that really need to avoid a certain other Pokemon on your opponent's team.
Yeah, I would say that the Carbink is definitely not, there's not a lot of flexibility to that Pokemon because it takes quite a long time to get to those charge attacks, and I think at this point everyone knows the counts for that as well. So being able to just either predict a catch or be able to block it up is going to be something that's vital. Meanwhile, going into game number 3, we have that superior against a Frost Blast from Elepfandflasche's side. No I don't know what they want to do.
Yeah, so I think Frostlass is going to stay in here because it's an ice type against a grass type. This works out very nicely, and Frostlass is able to throw the Avalanche first, and which forces a charge attack priority event, which Galaxkobolten shields. But it looks as though Galaxkobolten did launch the Leaf Tornado.
Yeah, we'll have to see if this is playing to his advantage once again. As we know, it's a 50% chance of dropping the attack of his opponent. No shield from Elepfandflasche's side. Will this Leaf Tornado connect? Will it get the attack drop? It does! Once again, Galaxkobolten, more like a 100% chance of the Leaf Tornado getting that debuff, but catching on the Mandibuzz.
That's brilliant, that was such a good read there to get that Leaf Tornado on the Mandibuzz. The only concern is if there is another debuff on this Mandibuzz before the switch, and it looks like there is.
Oh my goodness!
Elepfandflashe's face there, he's like, oh goodness, what have I done here? And attempting another catch, and it's not successful, but Shadow Alolan Sandslash is perfectly fine here. That has the advantage that Mandibuzz has lowered attack, so maybe it can tank another Dark Pulse at this rate.
It can definitely tank at least one Dark Pulse. We'll have to see how much damage as it does. This goes unshielded. Oh my goodness, top. That attack debuff did a lot for it, unfortunately. Even another Dark Pulse at this range I don't think will be enough to take it out. Meanwhile, this Ice Punch is going to hurt.
Oh yes it is, and so Shadow Alolan Sandslash can farm up, shed loads more energy here, safe in the knowledge it can tank another Dark Pulse with ease. So the question is, how much does Galaxkobolten want to risk? How much does he want to farm extra here? But there's not too much room because we're up to an Aerial Ace already and timing it pitch perfect to get that final Ice Punch off. Perfect play by Galaxkobolten.
Yes, counting and knowing that Dark Pulse, throwing that Ice Punch and getting a little bit of energy advantage. Let's see how Elepfandflasche chooses to respond to this. Remember, when a Pokemon faints or is taken out, the debuff resets, so the Frostlass, when it comes in, will have full attack once again. Meanwhile, this Ice Punch going through on that Swampert.
Yes, I think Galaxkobolten will be happy to get a bit of chip damage, right? Quite a lot of chip damage on the Swampert, but Swampert is now able to farm down, but we saw that Serperius there, which is a hard answer to Swampert, but don't forget, this Swampert is running Sludge Wave. Grass types do not want to see that at all.
In comes the Gligar, which is an interesting pick overall, trying to swap out to the Frostlass to get a lot of energy. This Aerial Ace is coming through, not quite enough probably to take out the Frostlass, but Elepfandflasche doesn't want to take any chances. He's got a lot of energy left on this Frostlass, going ahead and just charging up a little bit more, but we see a swap!
Oh, brilliant play there. Now another grass attack has launched, and now both shields being used on the Frostlass. The Elepfandflasche recognizing Frostlass is the key. It beats the Serperior, it beats the Gligar. So now it's a race and it's a charge attack priority event, but there is a shield on Serperior's side. Is this going to be enough to take out the Frostlass?
This is going to be the question because, like you said, it is another Leaf Tornado. We'll have to see. Oh my goodness, it's going through. What do you think, Adelian? Leaf Tornado is not a heavy hitting move, and we have to remember this is a grass type Pokemon against an ice.
Yes, but Frostlass is so fragile. Down goes the Frostlass, and now we can see Serperior using its Fine Whips to really chip away. But now a Hydro Cannon comes in to eliminate this Serperior. Perhaps at this range, Serperior is bulky, but I don't know if it can survive a Hydro Cannon at such low health. And now the Gligar comes in, and now it's a race to get to 2 Hydro Cannons. Is this going to be enough?
Oh, the first one is going through, but I know that he has another one, but the wing attack is enough to take out the Swampert. We're going to have to find out.
It's going to be so close, just about so, and Swampert is KO'd. Gligar wins, and Galaxkobolten makes another victory here. This has happened before. Am I getting deja vu?
We have to remember, this is not a typical best-of-3 format. This is indeed a best-of-5. There's plenty more opportunity for Elepfandflasche to come back, but I have to admit, the score does look pretty similar to the previous round, Adelian.
Oh yes, and so now we are at it again. Galaxkobolten is 1 win away from being Lille Regional Champion. For Elepfandflasche, he is 2 wins away. So there's not a lot in it. There really isn't.
Yeah, and both of these players have been, it's almost like a ping pong match, going back and forth. Who is going to win this one? Who is going to win that one? A lot of like quick charge attacks, a lot of good counting by both sides, a lot of switches. I mean, these are the matches that everyone should be tuning in for.
Oh yes, it does not get better than this. The 2 talents on show right now, these 2 fantastic trainers, both in my eyes, as I said in the interview, both worthy champions, but only one can take that coveted title. Our championships cannot be shared. This is a duel.
While we're on the audience, I want to hear some noise if you think Elepfandflasche is going to win the tournament.
Make some noise, crowd. Make some noise if you...
All right, and I want to hear some noise if you think Galaxkobolten is going to win the tournament. My goodness, I think the crowd is a resounding favor for Galaxkobolten, but I'm not sure. Elepfandflasche still has a lot of fans that maybe weren't featured on the screen.
Yeah, there is a possibility. Both of these trainers have very popular followings in the community, in PvP, in Europe, and also elsewhere in the world. Bear in mind, viewers from all over the world are watching this stream to see who is going to make their mark here in France, and therefore take that momentum, take that energy, take that success over to Honolulu, Hawaii, for the Pokemon World Championships in August.
We have to also remember, this is just a reminder, this is the largest play Pokemon tournament for Pokemon Go this 2024 season. Our top cut was 16 players for day 2. There was over 170 competitors registered for this tournament, and these 2 trainers have made it to the very top. No matter who wins this, that is a win in itself, but we are here to crown that champion like you talked about, Adelian.
And I cannot wait to see who tops this huge tournament. Lille has had a history, a tradition, and it has the honor of being such a huge regional for Europe. People know that Lille will be one of the toughest regionals to top. And here we are with 2 trainers who are able to go, yep, I am at the pinnacle of one of the largest regionals to date in this season. As we go into the next game, who's it going to be? Is Galaxkobolten going to be able to pull off one more?
What a lead!
Oh yes, this is what he wants to see. Superior into Swampert, instant swap out into the Frostlass for Elepfandflasche, counteracted by a swap out into the Shadow, Alolan Sunslash.
Yes, with the Powder Snow we've seen, it's not doing as much damage to the Frostlass, but we know Galaxkobolten has been easily double shielding this and coming out ahead. He knows what his matchups are going to be. He knows how he wants to play this. Though he had the lineup at the beginning, this is Shadow, Alolan Sunslash just chunking away the drill run now. Do you think Elepfandflasche is going to shield?
I think he has to shield, surely, because he needs to somehow win switch advantage here. Choosing not to, and now is going to try and get a shield advantage. If he can reach in time, it's going to be close, and it is a charge attack. No, it isn't a charge attack priority event. Shadow Ball is launched freely. A double shield surely coming out from Galaxkobolten's side. And yes, now that Shadow, Alolan Sunslash can farm down this Frostlass, coming out with a lot of energy, but no shields to protect itself. And then here comes the Medicham, so that's going to be very, very painful for the Shadow, Alolan Sunslash.
Galaxkobolten going for a bit of a bait, and Elepfandflasche ends up falling for this as well, as this is just an Ice Punch. It is not a drill run, won't be doing as much damage. Staying in it, just getting a lot more energy before throwing this drill run now.
I think that makes a lot of sense. You want to try and do as much chip damage with your fast attacks before launching your heavy hitting drill run, and that takes Medicham to about half of its health. And then finally, Shadow Alolan Sunslash goes down, but Medicham has a lot of energy here. Going into the mirror match now, as both Medicham square off against each other, countering each other's fast attacks, and now Elepfandflasche launching the Ice Punches to start using that energy that he got from that Shadow Alolan Sunslash matchup.
He is keeping one shield in mind because he knows that Swampert in the back trying to catch something, and here comes the Superior. We have to remember this Swampert is carrying Sludge Wave, but meanwhile this Leaf Tornado is going through, forcing Elepfandflasche to use that last shield and perhaps getting an attack debuff first for the wear.
And if this attack debuff happens, Sludge Wave may not KO. There is no attack debuff. Is there going to Sludge Wave going to be reached in time? Just about reaches it. Is this going to be enough? Is this going to do enough damage? Sludge Wave is a huge hitting move, but Superior is one of the bulkiest grass types out there. It survives!
Not quite enough, and the Leaf Tornado is enough to go through. This will be enough to knock out a Swampert, even though it is not as heavy hitting move. And again, Galaxkobolten just crazily Z.
Oh, yes.
The Leaf Tornado's knocking out the Swampert. The Superior ends up going down. There's a lot of energy, but unfortunately, one Medicham is a little bit healthier than the other.
And this is going to be the decisive matchup. Medicham versus Medicham here, but one is on less health. The Ice Punches are coming in, but we are getting closer to the end game. The Dynamic Punch is being launched. Will this be enough to KO Elepfandflashe's Medicham? Will this be enough?
Make some noise for the new Lille Regional Champion, Galaxkobolten!
Congratulations, Galaxkobolten is your Lille Regional Champion indeed. Absolutely amazing, fighting his way through the losers bracket, fighting his way through a